This month's bargain bead box is full of cozy fall colors. Burnt orange, deep dark reds, moody blues, and soft grays. Today, I'll be showing you how I turned the glass bead mix, agate rounds, and the crystals into one of my favorite designs yet. A necklace that's balanced, elegant, and perfect for autumn. And if you stick around to the end, I've got a little surprise project waiting for you. To get started with the necklace, you'll have to get all your beads out in little piles of what you would like to use in the necklace itself. I also have a couple of wire guards. I'll need 2 for each strand, and we'll need a total of 6 of these, and I'll show you in just a minute as to why. I also have my measuring tape sitting out here because in this particular portion of the necklace I'm going to make one strand that's 12 inches long and another strand that's 14 inches long. I'll show you what I mean in just a second. To start off, we're going to start off with a stop bead. That means you just pick up one of your 11-ohs, pull it down to the end of the thread until you have a comfortable amount to hold on to. And I have a whole lot of thread on my needle at the moment, so it's going to take me a second to go back through that bead one more time. So you're just making a loop through the bead itself, just like that. Now you're going to have to figure out what type of pattern that you want to do. Now, since I have already actually started the necklace, and I'll show you what it looks like in just a minute, but I've already started the necklace, so then the first one that I'm going to be doing is that 12-inch length. To start that off, I'm going to put on a total of 4 seed beads. So I already have the one. I'm going to end up using that stop bead in the product. So I already have the one, so I'm going to add 3 more seed beads, and then I'm going to pick up a bead in my little mixture. Then I'm going to add 4 seed beads, pick up a bead, and then 4, and pick up a bead, and so on and so forth until I get 5 of my mixture beads on there. So that's 3, 4, and then 5. And then I'm going to decide if I'm going to add either the agates, which I think these are the agates if I remember right, and either going to add an agate or I'm going to add one of the matte blue crystal rondelles over here. Before I do that, I need to add the seed beads in between. So I think I'll just start off with the agate first, since it's just sitting right next to my beads. Then I'm going to do the same pattern again, where I just pick up 4 seed beads and then one of the extra mixture beads here in the center. And I'm going to do that until I have 5 of my extra beads on there again, or my mixture beads. And I'm not really caring which ones I'm picking up. You can always do that. You can put them in color order if you wanted to, like all the grays go in a pile, all the reds go in a pile, and so on and so forth. You can do that if you wish. I'm just picking them up at random. So now I have 5 of my mixture beads there. And I'm going to pick up 4 more seed beads. And then this one I'm going to go ahead and do a crystal. And then I'll start it again. Pick up 4 seed beads, and so on and so forth. So what you want to first do is get this down until you end up right around your 12 inches. And it doesn't have to be exact. If it's a little less than 12 inches, that's fine. If it's a little bit more than 12 inches, that's fine too. It's just whichever you would prefer and how you want your necklace to look like. So go ahead and get that 12 inches done. Meet me back, and then I will show you what we're going to end up doing in adding the wire guard and then working on our 14-inch. So I'll see you back in a second. Once you get your beads all the way down to a length of around 12 inches, it's time to add the wire guard. So we can pick up one of the wire guards. I'm going to go ahead and just move the measuring tape out of the way. Pick up one of the wire guards, go through one of the holes of the wire guard, and go ahead and wrap around, making sure your thread stays in the channel at the top of the wire guard, and go back down the other side. before we start going through any beads, we need to add our wire guard to our link. Now this, I'll bring one of my other bead boards out, one of my bead on it boards, and I will show you this so it's a little bit more clear so you can see what I'm doing. So I've already gotten part of the necklace already done, part of the beadwork as far as the links and everything already done, and that was mainly just so I had a lot less time of having to record and everything. So I'm working on this outermost link, and I'll tell you the links of these two in just a moment because it's the same process, just in different patterns of whatever you choose to do as far as how many seed beads you want to add in between each one of the different types of beads. So what you want to do, I usually start off with one of the sides, doesn't matter which one. But what you want to do after you have your wire guard onto your thread and needle, I go from the back side of the link towards the front with the needle. And when you pull this through, that will eventually get your wire guard to go through the loop itself, like that. Once you're through that loop, now you're set up to start working on your outer edge. So we've already done a 12-inch. This is our 12-inch strand. Now we're going to do a 14-inch strand that will hang just slightly lower than our 12-inch. So all you do on this little portion is the same pattern or different pattern, whichever one you want to do. Now on this one, I'm starting off with 5 seed beads. So I'll do 5 seed beads, and then I'm going to pick up and start doing the same thing that I did in the previous ones, where I do seed beads and then I pick up one of my mixtures and then seed beads mixture until I have 5 of my mixtures on there, and then I'll add either one of these afterwards. Then once you get down to the other end, I will show you how to put on the wire guard and show you, just in case you're new to this, how to make sure that the wire guard goes through on this link in the correct direction so things don't get all twisted around. So go ahead and get your length of this part of the necklace to 14 inches, then meet me back and I'll show you that next step. Once you have your 14 inches of beads strung onto your thread and needle, that's over here off to the side, then it's time to add your next wire guard, or in my case, the last wire guard. We're going to go up the one side of the wire guard and then go down the other side, and then give it a little bit of a tug just to make sure that your tension and that there's not a whole lot of thread showing through the beads or anything, or through in between the beads. Go ahead and go down the other side of the wire guard just like we did on the other half when we were adding the other half. Now we need to make sure that our beads, if you're adding your second or your third one, just make sure the other strands are not intertwined unless you would prefer that. Perfectly fine if you want to do it that way, but I'm just doing it this way to where they're not intertwined. Then I'm picking up this link. I'm going up from the back to the front with the thread, making sure that the wire guard goes through it. And then the biggest difference with this is that now we've already got our second strand already on everything, so we're just going to go back through all of these beads. We're going to go back through this 12-inch strand of beads, then we're going to go back through the 14-inch strand of beads, and when we get done, we'll end up over here off to the side where our starter thread is at, and then that way we can tie a knot and burn it down to the end. So that's all you do on this section. So go ahead and go back through all your beads on the 12-inch, wrap around your wire guard over here off to the right, and then go back through the 14-inch strand, and then you'll wrap around the wire guard one more time, and then when you do that, you'll end up where the starter thread is at, tie off, and you'll be done with that. Now as far as the counts or the lengths are concerned, the first or the inner loop, the first one I did was an 8-inch strand, then I did a 10-inch strand. For that middle loop, I did a 10-inch strand and then a 12-inch strand. So then the outer loop over here that we just did, as a reminder, was a 12-inch strand and a 14-inch strand. So that way when you go to actually wear the necklace, it'll kind of drape. So it'll be something nice that you can wear with a sweater if you prefer. So meet me back in just a few moments. I will go through all my beads and then I'll show you that next step. you get your beaded portion completed, it should look something similar to this, or in whatever pattern that you wanted to make it in. So now it's time to add our chain. Now this is the figaro chain. If you're not familiar with the figaro chain, the longer portions of the chain, there we go, now it's in focus, the longer portions of the chain, because there's two different sizes, there's a long oval, and then there's the one that is more rounded. It's not quite rounded, it's like twisted, but it's a little bit more rounded. The long oval ones are actually jump rings. So I cut off two pieces, or detached really, two pieces of chain that were about 6 inches. It's a little bit more than 6 inches, but perfectly fine with me. And then I'm going to use the long oval portion of the end of the figaro chain to attach it to our links up here. So just need to find which side is the opening for the jump ring portion of it. So then there is the opening on this one. So just open it up like a typical jump ring, twist it open, and then you slip it on to the link, the topmost link of your little daisy flower. And then just make sure it closes really good, and then that is half of the necklace done. Now this is the left side of the necklace, so we're going to end up putting the bar portion of our toggle clasp on it. So I'm just making sure that my chain is not twisted, and then I'm going to add my jump ring at the end, because I ended up just using, or just leaving the little chains down at the end over here. So I'm going to use an oval jump ring, just kind of go along with the theme of everything. Twist that open, and then we're going to go ahead and add that to the end of the chain, and then put the bar over here. Now if you decide to do something different, like put beads on a chain, something like that, or if you're using bigger, thicker beads, you might want to use more than just one jump ring when you're adding your toggle portion of your clasp. And that's so whenever you're adding it to the loop portion, you have enough room for it to kind of move around a little bit until it catches. So just as a FYI for those that are not familiar with toggles. Now I need to get my necklace set up to where it's not twisted again. We're going to add the other side in the same fashion. So figure out where the opening is on the chain. Twist it open just like a normal jump ring. And then add it to this side. And then we're going to add the loop portion of our toggle clasp on the end of this one. Now this, you just have to make sure that your two ends are touching. You sometimes have to kind of wiggle it together like I'm doing right now, because I accidentally pulled it apart a little bit too much. With it being twisted like this, sometimes you can actually do that, where you pull it apart this way rather than just twisting it. If that's the case, just wiggle it back and forth until the two ends touch, and by pushing inwards at the same time, it'll eventually go there. And then I'm just going to relay this out again, make sure this is not twisting in too bad of a fashion, and then I will add the jump ring to this side, in the same way, and then add our little loop portion. Then after this, you will have a finished necklace. The biggest thing is, I wonder how many of you realized that we have not used all of the supplies needed for the project yet. That is because I plan on doing a nice little extra tutorial here at the end. So once I get this jump ring on, I'll close it up, and then I will come back in just a moment with the remaining supplies that were on the list from earlier. I may have to add a bigger jump ring on this one. In fact, I think I will, because that oval jump ring is not fitting in there. So I'll add a larger round one, but I'll do that off screen. But I'll come back and with the remaining supplies that were on the list at the very beginning, and we will do that extra little tutorial. So how about we say that we make an earring to go along with the necklace that we just made. Alright, so I have my supplies sitting out. We're going to start off with another stop bead, so put one of your 11/0s on your thread. Go ahead and bring that down to the end, and then I almost got that off my needle, or off my thread, and then go back through it one more time. And we're going to end up using this stop bead in the project as well. Now we're going to do the companion to this earring. Now we're going to start off on the back side, so we're going to go ahead and add one of our crystal rondelles, one of the blue rondelles. Then we're going to pick up the smaller of the two filigree forms that we got. We're going to go from the back side, because there is a back side to this, so you have to figure out which side is your back and which side is your front. The front is going to be a little bit more detailed, and it's going to have it's going to be a little bit more smoother. On the back side, it's a little bit more rough. When you, if you have these, you'll know what I'm talking about with that. So go from the back side to the front through the center hole, and then I ended up having to put that rondelle sitting there so that way the 11/0 wouldn't go through that hole, because the hole was actually quite big. So I put the rondelle there as well. Now we're going to pick up our beautiful blue and gold flower. We're going to go from the back side of this to the front. Now we have to make the middle of the flower. So pick up one of the cube rondelles, or what were these called? These were called, yeah, they're called cube beads. Okay, I couldn't remember if they were cubes or rondelles, so pick up one of the cube beads, and then we'll pick up our second 11/0. And then that will be the center of the flower. So now all we have to do is go back through all of these beads except skip that 11/0. So go through the cube, the flower, the filigree, the rondelle, come out the other side, and then you want to go through these beads another time and then come back out in the back side again. So go back through the 11/0 this time to round through it. You want to go back through the rondelle, the filigree, the flower, the cube, and then come back out. Go through your 11/0 here on the front to round through this part, and then go back through one more time the cube, the flower, the filigree, rondelle, and then come back out. You don't have to go through that 11/0 in the back anymore, because you've already gone through that twice. So this is where you can go ahead and tie off. I'm just going to leave that loop of thread around the 11/0 there, because it's on the back of the earring. You're really not going to be able to see it that well either. Using the beige thread and brown colored beads, and you're really not going to see most of that. So just making a simple little knot, and then I will eventually get this burnt off from the thread, and then burn down the edges. See if I can get that to focus. There we go, that's a good picture. And then burn this one down, just like that. It's kind of sticking out a little bit. I might straighten that up a little bit when I have a moment to get it closer to my face. And then now we need to add our little links. Now the links of chain that I ended up using, I used basically 2 full links. I have 2 of the ovals along with 3 of the more rounded portions of the chain. So I just used the chain in the same way, opened up the oval as far as the jump ring is concerned, and then went to the next one, opened that one up, and then took off that. So now we're going to add this. Now when you look at your flower, we're going to skip that middle hole that's on the filigree right here, and we're going to use the second hole that's on the left and then the hole that's on the right, just to the right and the left of that middle hole. That's where we're going to put our chain. So we open our filigree, we open our figaro chain in the same way that we did with the necklace, and then go ahead and add it to one of the holes course, this first one, it really doesn't matter which hole you put it in. You just need to make sure that the second one is 2 spaces away from the one that you just added. And then do the same thing with your other one. And then after we get this on, this was probably the most difficult step for me to try to figure out exactly how I wanted the chain to look, because I was trying to keep it to where the chain was not twisting when it's attached to the earring. In order to do that, I had to use a 4mm jump ring to put these 2 chains together and then attach it to the ear wire. So I started off doing this. I would hold it upside down like this. Let me get my pliers out of the way. I would hold it upside down like this, where the chain is dangling towards your bead mat. Then I would try to get it to lay straight as best I could. Of course, you've got the beads on the back, so it's really kind of hard to tell. It's going to be hard for it not to sit completely straight on your bead mat, but at least it gives you an idea of how it's going to look. Then we pick up the 4mm jump ring, open that guy up, and if you need to, you can pick it up and play with it for a second until your jump rings are facing the correct direction. So I'm going to pick this one up just like that, and this one is kind of flipped around. And I'm going to play with it until it looks like it is facing in the correct direction. There we go, that's the way I want it to face. And then I'm going to go through that jump ring, that portion, and notice how the one on the left looks really straight, but the one on the right is actually twisted some. I ran into this problem the first time as well, so this is how I fixed it, because it all just depends on which way that you're going through your chain with your jump ring. So I held on to the left hand side of the jump ring, took the chain off the right hand side, and then I twisted it until it looked like it was sitting correctly, and of course now it's not going to sit correctly. There it goes. Alright, so I think that is correct now. So you just have to kind of play around with it and then make sure that your earring looks in, is doing exactly what you want it to do, essentially. So now that I have my jump ring open, I'm going to go ahead and add my ear wire, making sure that the back side of the ear wire is towards the back of the earring. That way it just takes away one extra step. And then now you just close up your 4mm jump ring. And then that should give you a pair of earrings to go along with the necklace that we just made. And here it is, the finished fall necklace, rich with autumn colors and antique bronze details. I couldn't resist making the pair of earrings as a surprise, and I love how they're not an exact match, but still complete the set. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the new hype button if you're on the YouTube mobile app to help support the channel.